Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for Renaissance Periodization, and today's Hypertrophy Myths video is about a salacious topic. That's right, Google that word. The myth is that the big guys have some kind of really special insight into how to grow muscle, and thus you should really prioritize what they're saying over what other people are saying about how to get jacked. We're going to break this down as usual. We're going to talk about what the myth really is, talk about some of the silver linings. All myths have a little bit of truth to them, even most. People say like, oh, I can see ghosts. Like, I don't know where the silver lining is for that. I guess in the realization that the brain is one hell of a hallucinogen. But in any case, most myths have something to teach us. Then we're going to talk about the bad stuff, which is the stuff that makes it mythical and thus mostly bullshit, and a little bit of real talk to sort of close the loop on this discussion. Okay, so the myth is mostly people saying stuff like, that guy's huge. He must really know how to train and diet super well. There's definitely something there, right? Okay, so not entirely wrong. And then they'll say like, yeah, science nerds say, X, Y, Z. This big guy at my gym says ABC, so I'm going to go with him, man, because he's huge. He's living the life. Like, all right. And then there's another brand of statement like something like, man, if the science nerds really knew stuff, they'd be huge too. They'd all be the biggest guys. And it was mostly said by people who, maybe school wasn't their number one thing in life. Don't worry, I'll have more insults to people's intelligence later in this episode. All right, the good. And there's lots of good. Okay. Big guys clearly know something that worked. They're doing something that clearly worked because they're big. And this whole thing of hypertrophy is we're all trying to get big, so clearly they're onto something. We actually know what they're onto, at the very least. Most of them will know and be able to actually sort of declaratively say consistency is important, progression is important, showing up to the gym regularly. Very rarely will you have a big guy be like, yeah, man, I missed 2 years because of COVID. That's not going to work. Progression, big guys are usually good about putting some more weight on the bar every now and again, adding a rep or two here and there, adding some sets, challenging themselves. And of course, they're pretty good at hypercalorically dieting with plenty of protein. You don't get to 240 pounds in most cases just by eating normally and being like, yeah, this is just like how I eat, and ta-da. Usually you have to eat lots of food, so they know about that. They know about eating when they don't want to eat, and they know that protein's important. Usually at the very least. Consistency, progression, and a hypercaloric diet is more than most people know. And a lot of even, smart gym nerds could use a bashing on the head with this every now and again. As people get exotic into this crazy periodization shit. And what about this one exercise for the lat that hits your lat this way? Okay, how many times do you train your lats a week? Like, well, I've just been playing around a little bit. Like, okay, great. So you don't actually train. Got it. There's some shit there. There's some reality there. And on the other end, science nerd folks often say a lot of stuff that just doesn't work in real life because they haven't tried it yet or never tried it, no plans to try it. They'll just say stuff. And maybe because they tried it, but they didn't grow, but they have such shitty genetics and work ethic anyway that growth isn't something they're going to be doing much. A lot of times you'll get this, especially with older folks, muscle nerds that are in their 40s, probably just won't ever be growing again. And they'll recommend a variety of training practices and RIRs and progressions that look interesting on paper, but they haven't tried them, nor will they ever. If they have and are trying them, it doesn't much matter because they're not in that phase of their life where net growth is even possible outside of using tons of steroids or something like that. So the last thing I'll say here is you don't have to religiously believe, and don't worry, we'll get to that in a sec, what the big guys say and what they do is like the way to do things. And not everything that comes out of their mouths is something you're going to want to do. But you ignore the practices, especially of the big guys, to your detriment. I want to know what all the big guys are doing. That doesn't mean I'm going to do it all. I care a lot about what they're doing. I care much less about what they're saying because their words didn't get them muscle. Their actions did. Much more curious about what they're doing. And then I can sort of put the puzzle pieces together. I'll never ignore it. When tons of bodybuilders do some kind of practice, there's absolutely a chance that it's just dumb as fuck. It's the new fad. But there's also a chance like, man, they're really onto something. And I wouldn't want to just be like, yeah, they're all idiots. Don't worry about it. No. You should know about it, but then you should have a good sort of working concept in your brain that accepts tentatively or rejects ideas from bodybuilding that, oh yeah, like these big guys, this is something to try. They're discovering something interesting. On the other hand, some stuff you see from them, you'll be like, that guy's a fucking idiot. There's no way that works. I tried it. It doesn't work. Biomechanics says it doesn't work. Physiologist says it doesn't work. People do some dumb shit. Here's more on that. The bad stuff. It is super important to realize the following. I will place my reputation as a science communicator or whatever the fuck I am on this idea. The top reasons the biggest guys are who they are looks like this. Number one, and I do mean number one, amazing genetics. Okay. Very good genetics, at least. Number two, time spent training hard. And I mean years. That's how long it takes to get big. Almost certainly big guys have really good genetics and have trained hard for years. Now, that does not mean the details of their training are remotely optimal. That doesn't mean the details of the training got them as big as they could have been. That doesn't mean that the details of their training won't get you hurt and they just got lucky. They just trained a long time. The details, not so important. Number three is that they know how to eat in the sense that they've spent a lot of time eating and gaining weight. It does not have to be remotely ideal. One of the stupidest fucking things you'll ever see in your life, I ever saw in my life, when they do like day in the life of a bodybuilder and they'd be like, yeah, I'm eating a lot of fish. And the comments are like, why fish and not chicken? What the fuck are you talking about? Do you know how many bodybuilders got big off chicken? Well, everyone else. So what's the thing with fish? There cannot be a good answer there. There does not exist a good answer. Never mind that on the nutritional physiology, the proteins all get broken down in amino acids anyway. And as long as the amino acid score is high, which it is both high for fish and chicken, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't make basically any difference on hypertrophy, but you'll always get people that want the details. All right. Nick Walker does not have 23-inch arms because he ate like fish versus chicken. Forget about that shit. He does have fucking 23-inch arms, or however the fucking big they are, is because he ate a lot of food when he didn't feel like eating a lot of food. He got up to like 300 pounds on a few occasions and voila, big ass arms. That's what you can take away from something like that. The details, hey, look, sometimes may be very good, but they'll have to be explained in a way that makes sense. It's not the details that get most people jacked. Lastly, folks that are really jacked oftentimes take anywhere from some to lots of drugs. And it doesn't even have to be remotely an ideal protocol design. I've seen some of the protocols on good word from top Olympians, and some of them look fucking ridiculous. Tons of compounds that do more or less the same thing. Tons of variety in compounds where you don't need it. Tons of compounds introduced way too early, taken out way too late, ones that contradict each other. But mostly what matters about how generally jacked you get from drugs is like how many drugs you do. Like if you take 500 mgs a week, you'll get pretty jacked. Take 1,000, you'll get more jacked, 2,000 more jacked, 4,000 more jacked, 5,000 hospital or some shit like that. There is a Rich Piana limit. R.I.P. In any case, genetics, training hard for years, eating a ton for years, and taking sometimes loads of drugs, are such powerful effectors and such powerful mediators of muscle size that they explain a huge fraction, not all, but maybe like 80 to 90% of the reason that the biggest guys in the gym are bigger than you. Notice that nothing on that list is nuanced technical knowledge about RIR, going to failure, technique for exercises, exercise selection interaction, like do I do rows after deadlifts or before, workout splits, frequencies, taper designs, accumulation, none of that shit. Here's the problem, and here's where the myth comes from. A lot of times we go to our biggest guys for those very things. Be like, hey, what do you think about like a double progression? Does that make that on the fucking list? No. So anytime you ask a huge guy, you can be sure they know these things and do them. Everything else, it's up in the air. And a lot of times, I'm going to say something kind of mean. You know more of the nuances than they do. Because you are 24 years old and you took up lifting 2 years ago and you did starting strength for 6 months and now you're into RP or whatever, 3DMJ, whatever you're into. And you're a mechanical engineer by trade. That's your day job, which means, sorry, forgive me, you are a category or two smarter than the average jacked person at your gym. You're just smarter. And you have access to reading and viewing video materials that talk about reps and loads and manipulations and failure proximities that is an intellectual stratosphere that many of these people that are super jacked, they don't even have the ability to process that data. That's like me trying to listen to a Lex Friedman podcast about some guy talking about like Python code. Fuck if I know Python, all I know is you need to stick to that motherfucker. Get away from me, snake. Apparently there's the code in there and there's C's and pluses and more pluses. I don't know any of that shit. I just have no clue. A lot of times if you ask a fucking super jack dude at the gym details on shit and he starts to sound real dumb or contradictory, don't worry. He probably doesn't have some special Richard Feynman-like insight on the shit that nobody else got. Unlikely. He's probably just the guy that does this and does this and does that, and voila. And now you're asking about shit that's just not in his wheelhouse to know. If he was at your intellectual level, that's right, he would be at that. And then you would be talking to John Jewett, IFBB Pro, or Jared Feather, IFBB Pro, or 10 other guys I could mention that are real fucking sharp, and then you would get a great answer. But it's not a guarantee. Not even close. So how can we use the wisdom of the big guys in context? I think it's probably a good idea to let the big guys remind you a few things. Like training hard is important. Training hard consistently for years is even more important. Eating well is important. Eating well consistently for years is important. Like if you go and eat well, and then you got to go to an engineering conference in Europe for 2 weeks, and you barely eat at all, you barely train at all, you come back, you've lost a shitload of muscle. Motherfucker, that's on you. You should have been fucking flipping through your Instagram and TikTok of pro bodybuilders and be like, oh yeah, I'm one of these people. Bodybuilders, that is. Let me find a gym here in Munich or some shit like that. Let me get some fucking protein in my face. That shit fucking matters. The people that do the best in the sport long-term, the people just get most jacked long-term, are the motherfuckers that they take breaks here and there, a couple weeks here and there, but they just generally don't quit. And also, remember, when looking at the pros, that drugs and genetics matter a lot. So if you watch like something like Coach Kassem's shit on like how to fucking hit the lats, and you're like, man, that's really insightful shit, and you seem to think it's a good idea. Then you see some jacked up bodybuilder at the gym doing half bent over rows, and you're like, yeah. It doesn't seem like it really hits the lats all that well. Does this guy know something Kassem doesn't? No. Fuck no. But that instant of seeing him can remind you that genetics are a hell of a thing and drugs are a hell of a thing. And just doing this with good genetics and drugs, when you eat a lot and you do this day in and day out for several years, you will get jacked. Is it the most optimal? Fuck no. Is it efficient? Hell no. Will you probably get hurt doing it? Yes. So do not copycat that shit. speaking of copycatting, what if you want specific information? Are sets of 10 better than sets of 15? Is 2IR better than going to failure? Any shit like that. Are the big guys good sources of info? Probably not. They can be good sources of info, but not reliably better than just regular, at least semi-intelligent people that train and read stuff on the internet. They just don't have much more of an insight. And they certainly don't know more than the science nerds in the industry. So, for example, I'll just give you an individual. Eric Trexler. Google him. Look him up. Not a big guy. He weighs like 160 or something. He's 5'7", 5'8", just the guy. He's been shredded as shit before for competition, but he's not enormous. You see him training in a sweatshirt at your gym, and you see Juicehead McPimplestein over here. I almost said Jewhead McPimplestein. Where's the mirror? Hey, is that funny to you, Scott the video guy, you anti-Semitic fuck? There's a bit of tension. This is class warfare here in the studio. A little Freudian slip. You would look at Juicehead McPimplestein and be like, holy fuck, that guy knows things. And somebody would be like, did you know that that's Eric Trexler? What the fuck is that? That guy right there? Like, uh-huh. But there's no way yeah, oh yeah. 10 times more Eric Trexler knows than this fucking guy right here. Almost certainly. But how can you tell? Well, you Google his shit and you start reading it. You're like, holy fuck, this guy's smart as fuck. This shit makes a lot of fucking sense, man. If you're a thinker. If you're just a fucking wild animal, fucking don't read shit. Reading's boring. Them letters are all weird shape. Why can't it be all the same shape? Why shit's got to be so confusing is what I'm trying to say. So, definitely have your ear to the street. Definitely know what the big guys are doing more and what they're saying a little less, but still be in the know so that you don't miss any obvious good gems. At the same time, look to the science nerds, read their shit for sure, watch their videos, podcasts, and then synthesize the two shits through your own experience to come up with the best answer. Science nerds get shit wrong. They get all theoretical and then they're fucking small. Jacked up juicehead dudes get shit wrong all the fucking time because they have no idea what's going on. It's like asking a fish how it swims. What? Doesn't even can't verbally communicate in language. And some pros can't do that either. At the end of the day, there's no religion in bodybuilding other than Scientology. Will they sue us for that, Scott?
I don't think so.
Let's be easy on the Scientology jokes. In any case, there's no dogma. What's that?
They're not Westboro Baptist Church.
Westboro Baptist Church. They'll come after you, right?
Yeah. Those are the loyal ones.
In any case, just do shit that passes all of your filters, which means you've experienced it and it seems to work. It makes sense from a basic logic perspective, like the fucking nerds say. And also it seems like at its core, it's something that would seem like it would work for the pros and the big guys if they knew about it, / they sort of do it anyway. If that all mixes in, great. What we don't want you to do is be like, fucking work for Ronnie. It's working for me. You can fucking do better than that. And definitely don't be the guy that's like, I read in a study at Cogburn 1965 in the Journal of Muscle Science that you're not supposed to do that. Shut up. Get out of here, nerd. Here's your fucking school lunch in your face. Get to the gym. In any case, I think I've offended just about everyone, including myself. Like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell. I've been watching some other YouTubers and they say things like that. And we've got a member section with more nerd shit, but also people are juiced up in it too. I suppose they're kind of juiced up everywhere on this channel. Ugh. See you guys next time.